The third common foundation of impact measurement is to collect useful information. It is critical that the information you collect about your work should be useful enough to you to make it worth the effort. This usefulness is derived from what information you collect, how it's collected, and how often. The right combination of those factors helps to improve your work and to demonstrate that you're making progress. But what about the data itself? To be able to make sense or compare results, you will need to collect good quality information that is capable of showing your true progress. For each performance measure and item of data, you will then need to decide which data gathering methods you could use. Some performance indicators can be collected using the same method, but it is likely that you will use several methods. Looking at each separately is important before designing the collection methods you will use overall. And how do I figure out the methods, you ask? There are a variety of typical data collection methods that will satisfy the needs of most social enterprises. And here they are. Remember to choose methods that you can continue to use over time. They could be administrative records, surveys, interviews, focus groups, participatory appraisal techniques where clients are actively involved, documentary video or audio methods, and observation. We cover the pros and cons of each method in much more detail in the full course titled Collecting Useful Information on socialenterpriseinstitute.co. For each data method or tool you could select, you may want to consider the appropriateness given the capabilities and experiences of the people you will collect the data from, making sure you are sensitive to the needs of the people you serve. The likely robustness of the information you collect using the methods, including its relevance, accuracy, and reliability. The feasibility of using the tools effectively given the money, time, and expertise available to you. The credibility of the tools with stakeholders. Some tools may have already been tested and validated in similar contexts and thus more familiar and acceptable. The credibility of your data collection methods is an important point to consider. Deciding on whether your evidence is good enough will normally depend upon the credibility of your data collection methods and how consistently and well you apply them. That said, there tends to be a sliding scale of credibility in the research field, from more basic methods to those that are seen as being more scientific or objective, and therefore more credible, but also more difficult and costly to administer. But what should we keep in mind when collecting that data? 4 things, actually. Number 1, are you collecting data based on the right indicators? Remember, you don't have to collect a lot, but it has to be relevant and help to show change in line with your key indicators. Number 2, are you collecting data periodically to show trends? You might collect some data every day and every week, while some may be collected just once a year. Ideally, you'll collect information before, during, and after your intervention to be able to demonstrate the change that has occurred. Number 3, are you collecting data on an appropriate sample of clients? If you can't collect data from all clients easily, make sure that you collect it from a representative sample. Number 4, is your data collection ethical? In the rush to gather data, make absolutely sure that you collect data ethically and that participants are not in any way worse off as a result of participating in your data collection efforts. The fullness and quality of the data you collect can significantly be improved by involving your stakeholders. Where possible, share your data collection plans and ask people for their thoughts before you begin. Ideally, give your stakeholders options about how they will contribute and choose methods that will enable everyone to fully participate, regardless of background, confidence, or experience. It's really important that when you do involve stakeholders, including your beneficiaries, that you gather data in an ethical way. First, ensure participation is voluntary, based on informed consent, and takes into account the specific requirements of the data collection. Take special care to protect the interests of vulnerable groups or individuals, including children, the elderly, and so on. Ensure that participants are protected from undue intrusion, distress, indignity, physical discomfort, personal embarrassment, or other harm. Ensure that research is conducted with respect for all groups in society, regardless of race, culture, and other significant social differences. This might require collecting the information in another manner than is easiest for you. Finally, and critically, Make sure you plan your data collection methods. Take time to plan how you'll collect the data, when you'll collect it, and who will be responsible. Make sure collection is ongoing and not just relegated to year-end or the end of a funder's contract. Take time to involve others in the planning to ensure that your plan has the support of the organization and its stakeholders, especially staff and board, and builds on existing systems and processes.